So companies want to invite customers to contact them in any way they please, right? In essence, they're saying fax us, email us, call us, visit us in person, chat with us online, send us an old-fashioned letter. They want to put placards in their windows that essentially read, hey, we speak every language. But to do that, they need to be able to carry on a conversation that changes from one language to another. You can't act like Dory from the movie Finding Nemo. You can't get this case of amnesia when a customer tries to cross channels, again, resuming by phone, for example, a conversation that may have begun with an email exchange. You can't say, oh, I'm sorry, but now we're talking on the phone. It seems that we've erased all memory of those previous interactions that involved you typing on your keyboard. But, of course, amnesia is merely a symptom. The real malady is the fragmentation of databases and internal systems. And it's really a consequence of a long pattern of different customer touchpoints funneling data into separate silos that fail to talk to each other. As a result, organizational memory is often channel specific. Customers are forced to stay with the channels with which they originated. And again, it's like running down that track, right, where you're not allowed to cross the white line, or it's like driving down a divided highway where vehicles are prohibited from changing lanes. And there's really only one remedy. It's only one cure for this amnesia, and it's to break down those divider walls, right, and allow the data that was captured from one customer service channel to instantly become available to all other channels and touch points. And and I'm actually going to leave it to Randy to talk about some of the enabling technologies that bring this concept to life. But I really think the perfect word for all this is synchronization. So you think about it, sync is Greek for same, chronos is Greek for time, and that's synchronization really involves breaking boundaries on two fronts, right? So on the external front, it means presenting a seamless space to customers regardless of how they choose to interact with you. So that's external synchronization. You're breaking these outward-facing boundaries that separate the different channels. And then on the internal front, synchronization involves creating a unified knowledge repository, and there you're storing everything that you know about your customers, as well as your own offerings. So internal synchronization requires breaking inward-facing boundaries that divide functional departments, product divisions, business units, even geographic locations. So external synchronization facilitates seamless customer experiences, again, by allowing customers to cut across channel silos in dealing with the company. Internal synchronization facilitates seamless information access and learning, right, by allowing customer knowledge to be stored and accessed across organizational silos. And the two really go hand in hand. I think of them as really two sides of the same coin. You can't interact seamlessly with customers without really seamlessly learning from them. So let's talk about channel mapping, because really the idea here is that a company should try to align its customer service channels to the wants and needs and preferences of its customers based on that knowledge, based on that understanding of what they're trying to accomplish. And the point I want to make is that it's important to recognize that some channels are simply better suited to handling certain types of interactions than our other channels. It's kind of like that book Animal Farm. Maybe it was a pig that said all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Well, not all channels are equal in their ability to help customers accomplish a certain task or to resolve a certain problem. Simple inquiries such as wanting to find out about a product's features or getting instructions on how to turn the thing on in the first place can probably be easily supported with web self-service or automated email response. But a more complex issue like technical troubleshooting or maybe doing battle over some unjust charge on your invoice, well, that's likely going to require a lot of back and forth discussion. So a high-touch, real-time channel is going to be the right approach. We also need to recognize that certain customer segments are going to be more prone to wanting to use one channel or a specific combination of channels over another. I'm thinking the elderly, for example, may be less inclined to use a web chat function than certain other demographic segments, which isn't to say there aren't a lot of technology-savvy octogenarians out there. But the important point is that it's important to architect channels according to customer preferences and needs, and to also direct them to channels that may be the best fit given their situation and what they're trying to accomplish. And ultimately, most channels are going to end up most customers are going to end up using more than one channel over the course of their relationship with the company. And here I like to think about Isabel Meyer Briggs, who came up with her mother Kathleen the Briggs Myers studies. Other cognitive researchers kind of said the same thing, and that is that the characteristic strengths of different people have different characteristic strengths, I should say, in terms of how they process information. So some people are verbal processors, some are visual processors, some respond more strongly to images, some more strongly to text. But ultimately, all these different learning styles become reinforcing components of the overall learning experience. And by the same token, all the different service channels become reinforcing components of the overall customer experience. So that's channel mapping sort of from a customer perspective. And you also need to do it from a business perspective. So, and sorry about the overkill with the metaphors. But here's another one that I think illustrates the point, and this comes from a 16th century book of Proverbs. And really, the idea is, there's a lame man who's being carried on the shoulders of someone who has lost his sight, and with his eyes, I think it's with his eyes, the lame man repays the service of his friend. In one lacks, it is agreed the other is superior. One man borrows eyes, other man borrows feet. So there you go. But in the context of customer service channels, the proverb in my mind couldn't be more on target with its message, because in most cases, new channels, and I'm thinking specifically web self-service and chat, they're not going to substitute for traditional channels. Really these different channels offer complementary service outputs, which makes it unlikely that that either of them can win on their own. So it really is like the lame man and the blind man. They have to join forces, they have to move forward in tandem, and they have to form a hybrid model where the newer channels complement the older channels. And the challenge for companies is that some channels, especially those that involve, or particularly those that involve CSRs, live agents, are far more expensive than those that are automated or pre-populated with relevant content. And I've actually seen studies that show that the cost for services provided through high-touch channels, such as phone, can be reduced more than 95% using self-service or 60% using email. So the cost per interaction of a CSR, I saw a study, said the average CSR response cost was 25 cents versus $6 or $7 for a CSR. No, I'm sorry, I got this messed up. Sorry, the IVR touchscreen response and automated speech response is 25 cents versus about $6 or $7 to talk to a live agent. So huge price differential, and clearly there's a strong incentive on the part of companies to try to migrate customers from high-cost channels to low-cost channels as much as possible, but also to do it in a way that's not going to jeopardize customer satisfaction. And in fact, if anything, you want to try to inspire higher rates of customer loyalty. So I think I covered everything here. You want to, from most businesses want to minimize service costs. They want to increase customer loyalty, and the best way to do that is by providing your customers with the right information, resolving their problems quickly, and also to increase customer value. So if you have an understanding of their past purchase history, what their likely needs are, there's an opportunity to cross-sell and upsell, as we said. So I want to talk for a moment about context. What is context? It's really that which surrounds and gives meaning to something else. So, when it comes to context, I always think of Marshall McLuhan, the communications visionary. He talked a lot about how the medium is the message, but, he's probably better known for his cameo appearance in Woody Allen's Annie Hall. But McLuhan also talked a lot about context, and one thing he observed is that the one thing about which a fish knows exactly nothing is water, since it has no anti-environment which would enable it to perceive the element it lives in. It's only when a fish is pulled from the water that it becomes acutely aware of its former environment. So, when it comes to customer service management, companies need to try to achieve this, quote-unquote, integral awareness, as McLuhan calls it, of their customer's environment. And that way that they're able to interact with them in a context-sensitive manner. And, so that's